All right, welcome back to Cruz Learning because it's just that easy. With your host, Mr. Cruz, and today we're going to do the second part of factoring quadratics so that you can factor any quadratic that it's given to you. This is one of the big parts of the EOC, learning how to factor things, especially factoring trinomials into two binomials. That's what we're doing here. And now, last time, I don't know if you remember, we factored things of the form where a equals 1, where a equals 1. In this video, I'm going to show you how to factor quadratics or factor trinomials where a does not equal 1. So in this video, I'm going to show you where a does not equal 1. It's going to be really quick. I only have 3 examples, and they're short examples. So let's do the first one right away. Example number 1 is if you had, let's suppose that you have 2x squared, okay, 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. Now, this is going to assume that you already watched the first video in quadratics. So if you're watching this video and you haven't seen the first one, you need to pause it right now, go back to factoring quadratics when a equals 1 so that you can understand all the basic steps, because I'm not explaining the basic steps. I'm going really quickly. All right, so the first step, you know it. All right, it's really easy. You need to open 2 parentheses. So that trinomial equals, and we're going to open 2 parentheses. These 2 parentheses, before we had that, we will write down x and x, because remember when we do FOIL, x times, we have to do the first times the first. So x times x will give you this term, x squared. But now you have a 2. Now you have a 2. A does not equal 1, so you have to write down 2 over here, okay? So because now when you FOIL, 2x times x equals 2x squared. Because remember, when you multiply, you add the exponents. You multiply the coefficients, you add the exponents. So that's 2x squared. That's done. The second step was looking at this sign, and if it's positive, positive means yes, because we're positive in here. Yes, we can. Yes, we can what? Just use the sign in the middle. So this will be plus and plus. Okay, this is plus. Let me use this color so that you don't get confused. Plus, oh my goodness. All right, plus and plus. And now we have to find multiples of 12 that when you add them gives you 11x, 11. So which multiples of 12 when you add them gives you 11? Well, let's see. You have 1 times 12. That does not give you 11. That gives you 13. You also have 2 times 6. Not very helpful. Well, here's the thing. And you have 3 times 4. You run into a problem. You don't have any numbers, any multiples that when you multiply times 12 gives you 11. Why? Why is that? Well, because now we have to take in consideration this too. Now we have to take in consideration that too. So I don't know if you remember, but I said something about A times C equals and before I just picked this number because A was 1. But now I want you to see, and I'm going to write this in a different color, that your general form, standard form is ax squared plus bx, okay, plus c. I want you to see that A is 2 and that C is 12, okay? So we are no longer looking for multiples of 12. Right now, what we're really going to be looking at is multiples of 24, because 12 times 2, or A times C, right, which is 2 times 12, equals 24. So right now we're going to look for multiples of 24 that when you add them, okay? You know what? I changed my mind the way I'm explaining this, because I think it will be easier if I just use the multiple of 12. So please scratch what I said about A and C. It works too. That's another way of doing it, but I'm not going to do it that way. Since you already know how to do it this way, I'm just going to stick with that way. Okay? So I'm so sorry about that. Do not erase these, because we're going to use them. We're finding multiples of 12 that when you multiply them, when you add them, it gives you 11. But as you can see, none of them do. Because what happens is, when you do the FOIL, you will have to multiply this number times x, and then whatever number you put here, you will have to multiply times 2x. So let's just pick random numbers. We have to pick random numbers. I will usually stay away from 1. Sometimes that is the right answer, but most of the time it's not. Okay, so you could pick either 2 or 6. I'm going to pick 2. All right, I'm going to pick 2 and 6. So I'm going to write down 2 over here, and I'm going to write down 6 over here. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Well, when we do this, we have to do FOIL. Okay, so 2x, that's just 2 times x is 2x. And then 2x times 6, that's plus 12x. And if you add them, you get 14x. So if you check this number with the number in the middle, it's not the same number. So then that is not your correct factor form. Now what you could do is let's try 2 and 6. We said we're going to try 2 and 6, so we're going to flip them. We're going to try them backwards. Okay. So now I'm going to put 6 here and 2 there. If we FOIL and it doesn't work, then we will try 3 and 4. Okay, but let's FOIL first. 6 times x is just 6x. Okay, and then we have 2x times 2, which is 4x. So 6x plus 4x, that equals 10x. That does not equal 11x. So then this is not the right answer either. Because remember, what we want is 11x, because that's the middle term. That's the middle term that I underline in orange. So that's what we want. So it's not 6 and it's not 2. So then let's try 3 and 4. Let's try 3 and 4. Because 3 is smaller, I'm gonna put it in the front first. Because I don't have to multiply times 2. Remember, I want 11. Okay, so here we go. 3 times x is 3x. And then 2 times 4 is plus 8x. Hey, 3x plus 8x, perfect. That's 11x. That means this is my factor form. So my answer is, open parentheses, 2x plus 3, open parentheses, x plus 4, close parentheses. That is the factor form of the trinomial 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. That's it. That was example 1. So hopefully that made a little bit of sense, because this makes sense. This is true. Then that is correct. Let's do example 2. Example 2, are you ready? We're going to do this right here, right now, live. All right. It's really not live, but it's not from room 128, but it just sounds fun to say. So we are doing it. All right. So here we go. We have 4x squared minus 4x minus 3. Okay, and we want to factor this. So let's factor. You know what to do. We're going to set this equal to. We're going to open some parentheses, 2 parentheses. Now remember, we have 4x squared. So we have to now factor that. If you take the square root of 4x squared, that's just 4x. Or if you break down, so before it was just x and x, but we can't do that anymore because we have a 4. So you have 2 options. You could write down 4x and x over here, but I'm not going to do that because most of the time that is not correct. What I'm going to do is, just because of experience, I know that most of the time it will be 2x times and 2x. Okay, if you FOIL this, 2x times 2x will give you the 4x squared, because remember, we multiply coefficients and we add exponents. When you're multiplying, that's what you do. That's your rule. Okay, so that's it, 2x and 2x. Then we look at the last sign. The last sign, it's a negative sign this time. So that just means that these in here are going to be, one is going to be plus and the other is going to be minus. That's it, plus minus. That's what that negative sign says. If the last sign, the last number is minus, inside the parentheses is a plus and a minus. Now we have to find, this is 3 right here, this is 3. So we have to find multiples of 3 that when you add them or subtract them gives you negative 4. Well, you only have 1 times 3. That's really it. Those are the only ones. And because these are the same, it doesn't really matter where you put them. So this is going to be 1 and this is going to be 3. That's it. That's your answer. Okay, that's your answer. Now, what we could do, that's a horrible 3. Okay, what we could do is FOIL this thing to check if you get the same thing. Again, I'm not going to FOIL all the terms because the only terms that I care is if I get negative 4x and the terms that give me those ones, that negative 4x are the inner and the outer. So that's what we're going to do. Inner, 1 times 2x is 2x. Again, you don't have to do this. It's just to double check. And then 2x, the outer, times negative 3, that will be negative 6x. and this will give me negative 4x, which is true. Okay, 2x minus 6x is negative 4x, so that's what I wanted. So this is my factor form for example 2. 2x plus 1 times 2x minus 3. That's it. That's the binomial. Okay. Again, it was perfect because it gave me the right numbers. If for some reason I will put 2x minus 3 and 2x plus 1, then these numbers would have been backwards and I would have gotten a positive 4x. If that happens, the only thing that you have to do is change this negative to a positive and change this positive to a negative. That's the only thing that you have to do, switch the signs. But that did not happen. We actually got the correct answer the first time, so that was perfect. So then that's it. Let's do example 3. Example 3, last example. I told you this one was going to be fast, okay? So hopefully we get this quicker, all right? Example 3, we have 3x squared plus 7x minus 20. Okay, so I'm going to do this with you. Okay, first step is open to parentheses. Always open to parentheses. Because this term is 3x squared, I need to get 3x squared. So I have to write down 3x in one and x on the other one. Because again, when I do FOIL, 3x times x will give me the first term, which is 3x squared. So that's it. And now I look at this sign, and the last sign. The last sign is negative, so that means one is going to be positive, and the other one is going to be negative. Okay, plus minus. So I come here and I write down plus, and I come here and I write down minus. And then I have negative 20. So I have to find multiples of 20 that when I FOIL, okay, I get what? I get 7x. Okay, so multiples of 20, those are 1 times 20. I also have 2 times 10. I'm writing the multiples on the side. And I also have 4 times 5. Okay, so one of these, it's going to be my answer. Now I have to choose. So I don't know. Let's just pick 4 and 5. Okay, let's pick 4 and 5. So I'm going to pick 4 and 5. So 4 here. Let me use green. 4 here and 5 here. So now I have to FOIL to double check that my answer is correct. So here we go. 4 times x is just 4x. And then 3x times negative 15 is negative 15x. I will have to subtract. So 4 minus 15, that's negative 11x. That is not positive 7x. So that is not my answer. So what I could do now is flip them. All right, I'm going to use 4 and 5, but I'm going to flip them. So this is going to be 5, this is going to be 4. Okay, so let's do it again. 5 times x, that will be 5x. Then 3x times negative 4, that will be negative 12x. Okay, if I set this equal to, if I combine like terms, I get negative 7x. Oh my goodness, I got the same number, different signs. Well, you know what to do. If you get the same number, different signs, this is really easy. All you do, because those are the numbers, all you do is that you change the signs. So this positive is going to become the negative, and then this negative is going to become the positive. That's it. That is my answer. If I actually FOIL this, and this is what I was explaining in the example before. If I FOIL this, then I'm going to get a negative 5 times x is negative 5x, and then 3x times positive 4, that's going to be plus 12x, and when I combine them, I will get a positive 7. A positive 7x, which is the one that I want. Okay, so this is correct. And that is my answer. That's it. That's how we factor polynomials that where a does not equal 1. So now go back to Khan Academy. Make sure you master these things. We're going to do some things with Pearson too. You have to be an expert at factoring because factoring is very, very important. And after this section, we're going to learn and see how we can actually apply this to real world situations. The next thing is that we're going to factor some special cases. So stay tuned because the special cases are really cool. This was Mr. Cruz, and it's just that easy.